I cried on national television.
Stop.
I swear. I cried on national television, but not because I was sad. I was there for like 4 weeks, and I maybe talked to Rachel one-on-one for 8 minutes in 4 weeks. I was always on a group.
Did you cry?
Okay, it wasn't because I was in love with the lady.
Welcome into the podcast, episode 2 of Livin Large. Yo, thank you guys so much for all the love and support on the latest episode, especially on TikTok. We had over 750,000 views. Today's guest is a former Bachelorette star. Welcome to the show, Iggy Rodriguez.
Star is a very kind way to put my description of on the Bachelorette, but I appreciate it. It's very
You were
nice.
on a reality TV show.
Star? High praise.
You didn't make it
I
to
was
the
on
end.
the show.
I
All
guess
right,
reality
was on the show.
TV, you can't. You are a reality TV star.
You know what? I'm going to take it. It's been a long time since I've heard it. I like it. Feels good still. All right.
Iggy and I are really good friends. He used to be my next door neighbor when I lived at 1600 Vine. He's thrown some amazing parties.
I don't know if that's what I like being known for, but we've had a couple good times in those.
And then
buildings.
now we play Call of Duty.
And stay inside.
Yeah.
And now we decide whether or not we even want to go out in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's start with The Bachelorette.
Man.
How did you get on The Bachelorette?
They have like a recruiting team.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like something that I sought after. Like I think they show like people in lines like waiting to interview. That was not my intention.
Mm-hmm.
The real story that I haven't really told generally is I was super unfamiliar with the show, and I had an ex-girlfriend that I was deeply in love with. I was in Chicago at the time. She was the first one where I was like, this one like might be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she called me one day at like 9 a.m. crying. And I'm like, number one, it's 9 a.m. Nothing is this bad at 9 a.m. But she had some shit at work, and like it was still relatively new in their relationship. And so I ended up getting a reservation to her favorite restaurant. And I called her at like noon, and I'm like, look, I know you're having a tough day. I want to hear all about it. Got your reservations. We'll have a glass of wine. Like, I'm here to listen. She ends up calling me at like almost 5. And she's like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, I was so excited to go to dinner, but I can't do it tonight. And in my head, I'm like, all right, she's got work or something else is wrong or what's going on. And she goes, the girls are coming over. It's the first episode of The Bachelorette. And I'm like, okay. Like I didn't know this was like a community yet.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I still want to hang out with you. Like you did such a sweet thing. Like, come hang out with us. I want you to meet my friends. So for me, it's like, all right, you want me to meet your friends. This is still like a positive thing. I go over, and it is full on like 7 girls in like face masks and robes and wine and charcuterie. It's a whole fucking thing. And I do my best to like play along with it. I sit down. 5 minutes into the show, I'm like, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Mm-hmm. And then like an hour and a half into the show, I'm like, Johnny doesn't seem like such a bad guy. I'm kind of rooting for this guy. And so I get super invested in it. Now I'm like familiar with it. And like these girls were obsessive. I'm talking like brackets, like spending money on, they're like betting like fantasy football on this fucking show. So fast forward, she breaks my heart. And about 2 weeks later, I get an email, or it's actually a LinkedIn. I get a LinkedIn DM from recruiters who were like, hey, we're recruiting for a dating show. We want guys who are a little bit older, a little more established. Like, we think your profile fits great. I know exactly what it is, of course. Mm-hmm. I end up going to the interview process. I end up getting selected. And for as many weeks as I can survive, my ex had to watch me on her favorite show and bet whether or not I was going to stick around. And I stuck around long enough to make it interesting. So the real story is I did it as kind of like a fuck you, but it ended up being a pretty good time.
Did she ever reach out?
Right before I went on the show, we had like, I took her to get a drink because I wanted to tell her in person, partly because I was like, I kind of want to see the, I kind of want to see the reaction. In that moment, we were like having a drink, and I told her, and I'd been telling my friends, of course, so she'd kind of known already. And she does like the very like movie scenic, like puts her hand on my hand, and she's like, is there anything that I can do to not make you do this?
What?
And I'm like, no, I think we're good. Like, this is over. Like, it was obviously such like a, it was an attempt to like just get me not on the show. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was like, hey, I want to date you again. It was just like, please don't do this kind of thing. But no, I ended up going on it and, had a pretty good time.
How was it experience being on the show, and how far did you make it?
I say top 10.
Okay.
but I got whacked at number 10.
Okay. Top 10?
So yeah, I think there's like almost 40 guys that start in the house. So I was like on 4 or 5 episodes, which is like basically half the season. It's weird, it's a lot less glamorous than people think it is. Like the house sucks.
Really?
It's 8 guys in a room on bunk beds, and we're all like pretty like large human beings.
Yeah.
So you've got 8 big sweaty dudes in a place that like doesn't serve. It just smells like foot and fart like the entire time inside that room. And you're like, you can only go because the cameras are only set up in like so many areas. So you can really only go in like a couple rooms of the house. And there's no TV, there's no phone, there's no access to any outside information whatsoever. So you're just locked into a bubble, and all they do is force you to talk about things that you generally don't talk about.
Okay.
Like all the awkward interactions or guys having these like heart to hearts, it's producers that'll sit you down and be like, Iggy, what do you think about this thing? Oh, and ask Mark what he thinks about this thing, and then talk about the thing that we want you to talk about.
So it's in a sense scripted.
It is as close to, it's a produced show. I'll put it that way. Like they don't tell you what to say, but they will sit there and listen to you talk until they get whatever they need to build the narrative around the show. Everybody, and this is what I've been told, and I believe it to be true. Everyone, but like the top 2 people are producer edits. So the main guy or girl picks their favorite 2 people, and that's like pretty much it. Everyone else fills a specific role that the producers want from them on the show. And the longer you play that role, the better you play that role for them, the longer you stick around. So when you see people doing shit and you're like, I would never in a million years ever do that or say that, number one, you're hammered the entire time.
They're just feeding you alcohol.
They feed you alcohol the entire time. None of us are actors, right? Maybe guys are like models or whatever, but we're not. This is like having a camera in our face is a pretty uncommon experience. So you're awkward. You're like,
right.
You need to like loosen up a little bit. They know that, so they feed you drinks all day, every day. They put you in really stressful positions. You only sleep a couple hours a night. You're filming until maybe like 2-3 in the morning, and then you're up right away, like at the crack of dawn, to film the stuff they didn't get from the previous night. So you're super hungover, you're irritable, you're in a house full of like super aggro guys. You don't want to get cut. You're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. You can't work out. So there's no like stress relief. It's just this like tension that builds in the house every single week.
And whose season were you on?
Rachel Lindsay. She was the first African-American Bachelorette.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what men were on there that like ended up popping off on social media afterwards?
So there were only a couple that like really, I think, made a living out of it. Dean. I don't know if you remember Dean.
Did he become the Bachelor?
He didn't, but he got a lot of screen time, and he was like on a couple extra seasons of like the other like the spin-off series. Dean got really popular. That for sure was like the big one for us.
Did she pick Dean?
No, but Dean was like, so when you get to like top 4, you get to go to these quote unquote hometown dates, and like people get, for however produced it is, like get to see your background a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was like America's sweetheart, and he's a handsome guy, and he's funny, and like he's charming, and he did as much with it as he could, and he's still doing it. Like he married a girl that he met on Paradise.
Okay.
So it's just like he bought all the way in. But the thing I like about Dean is that it feels authentic. Like they like each other. Like they're actually enjoying their lives. Most often those relationships feel so fabricated. Only because you quote unquote fall in love in this scenario that doesn't exist anywhere else.
Right.
Like your first date, you're on a private jet going to Sonoma, and a sommelier is like giving you a private label bottle of wine, and a chef's coming. Like this shit doesn't like. I took a girl to Soho the other night. That felt nice.
Yeah.
But that was like as deep as it's gonna get. Like we're not going on a PJ to fucking Sonoma. In that scenario with cameras and like all the pressure, it's this artificial attraction. I'm sure they're still attracted to each other, but we've talked about this. Like that love is like sitting on the couch at like 10, watching a show and being perfectly happy, not saying a word across the couch of each other.
It's like a heightened honeymoon. It's like
Totally.
insane first dates, second dates. I mean, the whole concept of the show is crazy because if you in real life, you're like, if you met a girl and you're like, for example, you're the Bachelor in real life and you're like, hey, I'm also talking to 30 other women.
Just straight up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No girl is going to want to compete with that. So what makes people want to go on this show? Is it the popularity afterwards?
It's got to be. Like, for me, it was when I was younger, I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. So I kind of always wanted to do something on TV. So for me, it was going to be a fun experience no matter what. But this is now like 6-ish years ago. Instagram was really popping off. So you think you have this like opportunity to do something with it. I'm not a creative guy. I never kept it going. But it is like an alluring thing to have the opportunity to make something of it. Like, very few people have that opportunity. Either it's a really difficult space, or the people are so much more talented or good at social media, guys like you. For people who don't know that world, all of a sudden you're kind of thrust into the spotlight. And the idea of maybe I can do something with that is super exciting. Otherwise, I would never know what that life is like. And granted, I consider myself to be like popular for maybe a couple, like 3 or 4 or 5 months. It like fundamentally changed the way I looked at like myself and relationships for a period of time. Like, having that much attention on you all the time, it is absolutely like, it's a drug. Like, you love it. You love the attention. You love the likes. You've never gotten it before. This like inflated sense of ego, like all that shit is a real thing coming from seemingly like a stupid reality show.
Did it mess up your dating life?
Significantly, for like a while.
Why?
Transparently, I've always been like a little insecure about, I think everybody is, but I just never felt like I was that hot guy that got like the hot girl, and like always felt like I had to be successful and do well and be fun. Like, I always felt like I had to do more than the quote unquote hot guy to be in a relationship or to find that person. And all of a sudden, overnight, and granted, again, I wasn't like a huge figure in the show, but I was there enough. Overnight, I'd open my Instagram inbox and there's 99 plus unread messages from people I don't know, girls from all over the country, like, oh my God, you were so funny and you're so nice, and people are being mean to you, and like, I support you. I would love to come down and see you. Like, I was in Chicago at the time, and they're like, I'm in Minnesota, I'll drive down, just let me know. Like, crazy. And it's girls that I would want to talk to, right? That maybe wouldn't give me the time of day. And all of a sudden, I have all these options, and it's like, it's intoxicating. It makes you feel good. It blows your ego up. And all of a sudden, when I ended up speaking to a girl that I liked and that like was more meaningful than that, I sort of brushed it off. Because I'm like, well, I have infinite options. This is gonna last forever.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is my life now.
Yeah.
And it put me in a position where I just didn't appreciate the things I had when I had it. And it took me a long time to kind of pull myself back from that desire to be recognized all the time.
So after the show, did you go on like a little single bachelor spree?
Call it a spree? Yeah, I guess we can call it a spree. Yeah, I mean, I definitely took advantage of the popularity for a little while.
Did you think that women were now only into you, though, because of your being on the show? And how did that affect you?
I think for a little bit, you don't care. You're like, this is just fun.
Yeah.
Like, even if the acknowledgement is that's what it is, it's still just fun. Like, I had no intention of getting in, like, I don't want to get married right away. I didn't want to get married on the goddamn show. I went on it because it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, everything felt like I knew the score. Like, whether or not that was the reason they were attracted, I was okay with it for a while. And then it does start to become like, it's the only thing we talk about.
Yeah.
Right? I like,
they're asking you questions about it every
single time. I would tell my friends when I was like dating after the show, like, I have a script. Like, I know what we're going to talk about. We're going to have a drink. She's going to pretend not to want to ask me. Then she's going to ask me, and I'm going to go into it. And by the time we get 4 or 5 drinks in, we're having a great time, and she knows all the secrets, and you know, we're taking it out for the night.
It's like every date is a podcast of me asking you right now.
It was literally the exact same thing every time. Yeah.
On the show, you mentioned producers. They kind of like fill roles, right? Like, if there's the drunk guy, there's the crazy guy, there's the angry guy, there's the roid rage guy, there's the sweetheart, like you mentioned. What was your role on the show?
So I was a little older, and I was really fortunate. I just had like a relatively significant success in Chicago, like in the startup world, and the company I was with went through an acquisition. So I had like a little bit of like, I guess, credibility from like a career standpoint, where some of the other guys were like models and trainers and, you know, kind of like a little less recognized for being intelligent and more just like the hot guy. Mm-hmm. And so the role that they ended up wanting me to play was more of the like dad, sincere figure in the house, where they would encourage me every single time that I talked to Rachel to express concern about something or be honest with her about what was really going on in the house, because she trusted my opinion because I was smart and seemed nice and sweet or whatever. And it ended up being this like split between Iggy's talking shit about people in the house and no, he's just supporting her best interest, when really I was just blacked out and doing whatever the producers wanted me to do because I was having a good time on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the edit afterwards and you're like, you took that out of context. Like, that's not what I was talking about.
So here's like the first time it really fucked with me. I think it was the second episode. They had some guy talking about something to the group. And then the next scene of people reacting to his comments, like kind of being snarky and kind of like, what the fuck's he talking about, was cut from a completely different day. And just kind of put into place to make it seem like the impact was different than it actually was. Like, I remember that guy, like, he was just kind of joking around. I don't even remember what the actual topic was, but I know the reaction wasn't like visceral and mean or like angry. Nobody really gave a fuck. We're just like, okay, who cares? But the reaction on the show was like, everyone was so invested into what he was saying, and it caused such a big reaction in the house. It wasn't even the same day, not even the same conversation.
But they don't edit the show in real time.
They do.
Really?
They have like a war room. I was
So you
hammered.
see the show before the next episode, or like before it's even aired?
No, but they cut it in real time. So like as things are going on in that day, they'll put it together like in a show format as you're going through the show. Like the episodes I think are airing as you're finishing.
Really?
Yeah.
So how are you seeing them? Are they showing you those cuts every day or what?
No, you don't see anything.
So okay, so you don't know what's going to come out.
But we know what situations we're in. Mm-hmm. Like I remember that conversation that guy was having with the group, and then it cut to a completely different day, and I'm like, that wasn't what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And so the moment I saw that, I'm like, this is going to be whatever they want it to be. I was blackout hammered. It was the first night. And I went to go pee, and I went into the wrong door. And I walked into the door, and I tell people all the time, it was like, you know that Hunger Games room where they're like dropping shit in there, like the game makers or whatever? Yeah. That's what it felt like. There were screens everywhere. There was like 10 producers in chairs cutting stuff in real time. There was like a whiteboard with our names on it. I was like, what the fuck is this? And they were like, get the fuck out. It was nuts.
So they're in the house with you.
They're in the house cutting whatever they want this image to be of you and the show in real time.
Now, you mentioned you can't bring your phones. There's no TV. There's no outside contact. Do you get paid?
You do not get paid to be on The Bachelorette or The Bachelor. It is completely voluntary.
But the Bachelorette and Bachelor get paid, right?
They get paid. It's not great. I think it's like,
I thought it was 100,000 or something.
I was gonna say it's like 6 figures. Yeah. It's like just reaching 6 figures, which I mean, is considering it's not really work. You know, you're just kind of hanging
like 3 months.
Where the bag really is afterwards.
Yeah,
because you're doing interviews and you're on podcasts and you're now like brand ambassadors. Like the people who are the actual Bachelorette or Bachelor, they have a real shot to like make a business out of it. Like Rachel ended up being like, I think she's like an ESPN analyst right now.
Really?
Like it's sick. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
So they typically pick people that don't have jobs that tie them down, or people quit their jobs or what?
It's hard because like I was working at Salesforce. That was like a very corporate job at the time, and you have to tell your employer that you're going to be gone doing a reality show, and you could be gone from 1 week to 9 weeks, and you can't tell them how much you're going to be gone.
Yeah.
And so they just have to be like, you have to work for someone, or that's why it's always like a model or a personal trainer or like someone that doesn't have to go into a court, like a professional environment and be like, hey, I might take 9 weeks off and I just can't tell you what that's going to be. It might be 9, it might be 3. I have no idea.
So then after 10 episodes, well, not 10 episodes.
4 for me, but
four episodes, you're in the top 10, you get cut, you get sent home. What did that feel like for you?
I cried on national television.
Stop.
I swear. I cried on national television, but not because I was sad. I was there for like 4 weeks, and I maybe talked to Rachel one-on-one for 8 minutes in 4 weeks. I was always on a group. Okay, it wasn't because I was in love with the lady. So after that amount of time, like traveling with some of the guys, like I had become genuinely good friends with some of the guys. Like you're in this like such a unique environment. It's like playing on a sports team, right? It's like only you guys know what that like struggle is like. Not that this was a struggle, but and so it was after a super long day of travel, and I had become really close to some of the producers too. Like I was genuinely having a really good time. And when you first get on the show, you have at least for me, I had a little bit of like separation anxiety from my phone and like information and the outside world. But after like a week or so, it sort of rocks. Like you're not tied down to anything. You're not looking at your phone. You're just sort of existing for a little while. And that hasn't happened before or since the show, where I just existed without any obligation to anything. And so you're in this environment. You're actually having a good time now. And the real story is I forgot to renew my passport. And so I couldn't go on the international travel. So I had to get whacked. So I was like, I had a feeling it was coming, of course. And I'm like, when I was on the show, I had to like rush apply for a passport. And basically it was like, if it gets here in time, we think you're going to stick around. But obviously it didn't. And I get cut and I'm like disappointed and I'm like frustrated that it didn't come in time. And those rose ceremonies, what people don't like understand is that those start at sundown and they end at sunup. So you're done at like 5 a.m.
Why does it take so long?
You do the walkthrough thing a million times. Like it's a show. It's not like as organic as it looks.
Yeah,
like
it seems pretty simple.
She forgets people's names. Like they have to do it from a different angle. Like more energy this time. You know what I mean? Like it's a show. And so it's 4 a.m. The moment you get whacked, like you can't say bye to anybody. Like your bags are like you have to pack your bags before every rose ceremony just in case you get whacked. And they're like ready to go if you do get whacked. And so I'm like, fuck, man. Like in my head, I'm like, I should have gotten my passport. I'm so stupid. Like I'm so frustrated. I wonder how this is going to look. Like I'm so exhausted. I'm still kind of like hammered. And I was talking to the producer at the end of it because they do like an exit interview. And I wasn't giving them what they wanted. Like they were like, how do you feel right now? I'm like, honestly, I'm just tired. Like I'm good. Like I'm ready to go home. I'm just exhausted. And I remember them bringing Alex and Dean, who had become my really close friends. And they brought them out to say goodbye, which they don't do. And they're like, hey man, like we love you. We're going to miss you, man. Like we're so sad that you're leaving. I'm like, I'm kind of sad I'm leaving too now, man. Like I'm gonna miss you guys. And like I start kind of like getting emotional over this like dude bonding. Yeah, exactly. And then they turn me back to the camera and they can see that I'm like having a moment with my new friends. And they're like, okay, how do you feel now? And I'm like, pretty sad that I'm leaving. And like they cut it up in such a way where it was like, it looked like I was so sad to be leaving Rachel when I just wanted to hang out with my friends for like another couple weeks.
Oh, that's hilarious. So after the show, you do Bachelor in Paradise, right?
Bachelor in Paradise was fun.
Really? Because
you're not quite as nervous. Like I've had a month with like a camera like in my face and like a mic on all the time. Like you kind of get used to the experience. So now it's like, all right, I was kind of nervous, obviously the first time doing the Bachelorette. Now I want to have fun with it. Like it's also guys and girls. There isn't this like so much pressure to like make a name for yourself or like stand out. Like, you're going to meet people that you're already friends with. It was a drunken adult summer camp.
How long was that?
Anywhere between 1 week to like 6 weeks. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And could you bring your phone to that?
You can't bring anything to anything because they're so worried about leaks. But you realize very quickly that they're not the fucking CIA.
Yeah.
So I definitely, like, I had work. Yeah. Like, I couldn't be like, hey, work again. I'm going to be gone from 1 to 6 weeks. So I stuck my phone in, and at like 1 a.m. would go to the bathroom and turn the shower on and like check my emails and like frantically respond to shit. But we snuck in some contraband. Yeah.
How'd you sneak it in?
I put it in like a sneaky pocket in my luggage.
Okay. And they search everything?
They They search it the way that like security guards search it as you go through SoFi.
Okay.
They kind of like sort of look at you and they're like, nah, you're fine. So it was pretty easy to smuggle a phone in.
Well, how do they? I mean, obviously everyone would bring their phones.
On Paradise, a lot more contraband.
A lot more contraband.
A lot more, because you like again, you realize they don't really check shit.
Is there drugs?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't see any ever on my season, but again, it wouldn't be hard to bring it on.
Was there any controversies with Paradise?
Mine was kind of crazy. So our season is the reason they have a drinking limit on the show at all. So there's like 20 people that came down, and we would come down. If you haven't seen the show, there's like 1 or 2 people that start on the beach, and then they bring a person down. You walk down to the beach. Hey, oh my God, what's going on? There's like this big like fucking hello celebration. There's about 20 people that come down. Someone decided that for whatever reason, every time someone comes down, the group was going to take a shot of tequila. And by the end of the day, we're 20 shots in.
Jeez.
Every time someone came down, I was like the 5th or 6th person there. So I'm hammered. And we're talking about girls that are like 5'5", 98 pounds, who are pounding shot after shot of tequila. And it was the most unhinged shit. If you look at our photo, like, Corinne, I love you if you're watching this. Like, her knees all fucking buckled. Like, we're holding people up. Like, it's a fucking mess. On our season, there was a sexual assault case.
What?
So it was between Corinne, who with the wonky leg, and DeMario, who's still a friend of mine. And it was so drunken and sloppy, and it was super late in the evening. And my understanding of it was neither of them had a problem with it. They were both fine with whatever was happening. But a producer like walked around the corner and saw them doing whatever they were doing in the jacuzzi, and that producer was like, that girl couldn't give consent. And so she sued the show.
The producer
sued the show. Not Corinne and DeMario, who were engaging in the activity. The producer sued the show. And she got a fucking bag. Totally. It feels like the intention of the lawsuit was just to get paid.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense that the producer sued the show and not the people involved.
For negligence. It was like, you as the show should have stepped in.
Did they see it happening? Were they filming it? Or?
A camera crew came around, and she was like leading that cam. So a producer kind of leads some of the camera crew around. Mm-hmm. So she was leading that camera crew around, and when they saw it happening, she's the one that filed the suit.
Did she step in though?
2 people. I think that they were like, hey guys, can't do that right now. Or you can't do that, right? Like, you're on camera, you guys can't do that. So they kind of separated it a bit. But again, the 2 people who were involved didn't file a case against each other. It was the producer against the network.
And how much did she win?
I have no idea. They settled out.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me that a producer just profited off of that.
I mean, she saw an opportunity. She took it. Yeah.
Are you still in touch with any of these guys to this day?
Alex Bordy, one of my best friends in the whole. We have a business together. We got a couple Airbnbs.
Oh, nice.
He's my boy. He's awesome. Dean, I talk to very, very occasionally. He's married, and he ended up being this like backpacker traveler guy. So like, I don't know. He probably has like a flip phone somewhere. No, but Alex is my boy, and it's funny. You're in those relationships so deeply for like 6 months. It's like your high school friends. Like the moment you go off to college, it's like, I don't talk to these guys anymore. It was kind of the same thing. But Alex is still my boy, and I will always look at the experience really fondly. I thought it was a good time.
That's good. So life after the show, you go on a little bachelor paradise or bachelor spree of your own.
A little bender.
You got any crazy stories during that era? I mean, I know you went to a dog park one time.
You know, that was post era. This is relatively recent. The scars are still fresh with this story.
You got to tell the story.
No, this one's tough.
Tell the people what happened in the West Hollywood dog park.
So I'm about a couple months removed from a really serious relationship. And I'm just trying to do my best to exist and survive. I have a cute little dog that I adopted, and I'm like, I'm going to take him to the dog park 5 times a week. I'm going to be outside. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to like focus on other things than me being fucking sad. And I had a work meeting and I was all dressed up. Like, I had a jacket on, which this is my outfit always. It's like a hoodie and jeans. Had a jacket on, I had a nice watch on, like my hair was done. Like, I felt good. I was like feeling myself. But I was gone all morning having this meeting. So I ended up going home, get my dog, take him to the dog park. And I was just chilling, hanging out, letting him do his thing, run around. And all of a sudden I see him like playing with another dog. That's great. They're having a good time. And then I see this girl walk up to both of them. Obviously, this other dog is her dog. And then she kind of gives me is this your dog? And I'm like, yeah, it's my dog. And she beelines it towards me. And in my mind, I'm like, no. Like, she's not walking dead at me to like have a conversation. She's probably just walking in this general direction. Mind you, she was wearing a top where her titties were just fully out. So I'm trying not to be a creep. Like, she's hot. So I'm trying not to make it like creepy hit on you at the dog park. But she walks straight at me and she's like, is this your dog? He's so sweet. And we start striking up a conversation. And a few minutes in the conversation, like, she's like, well, this is such a nice dog park. Like, I don't really come to LA often. I was here for work and I was going to hang out with some people tonight, but they totally bailed on me. I have no plans tonight and I'm leaving
She's
tomorrow
sending you
morning.
an alley-oop.
Exactly. Like, it feels like she's trying to get this out of me.
Yeah.
But if I'm being honest, like, I'm not in a great emotional space.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really want to talk to women right now. Like, I just kind of want to be by myself. And then the other side of me was like, this lady's basically asking you to ask her out.
Yeah.
And I end up being like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm not going out. I'm not drinking. Like, I'm just going to go home. Mm-hmm. And so I say bye. I was like, nice to meet you. Take puppy, walk out. As I'm walking out in the back of my head, I'm like, fuck, should I have like just gotten her number? Like, should I have done it? Am I stupid for not wanting to do this? And as I'm thinking that, she comes like jogging out of the dog park with her dog in her hand, just titties bouncing around. And she's like, hey, I don't know what you're doing later, but I had a really nice time talking to you at the park. Take my number. If you have nothing going on later either, maybe we can do something. And now I'm like,
too easy.
Yeah, now I'm like, well, okay, yes, too easy, but I was feeling kind of drab, and I'm like, now it was an ego boost, and I'm like, maybe I just do look fucking good. Like, maybe this is just my day today. And so I take her number down, and we start texting. First red flag, it's green. All right, we don't love that. So I text her, and I decide, you know what, fuck it. She took the initiative. That never happens, right? She's giving me all the signals to take her out. Mm-hmm. So I end up saying, hey, like, let's grab like a happy hour drink. I don't want to be committed to like a whole evening. Like, let's grab a happy hour drink. If it's fun, we'll still hang out. So she says yes, and she starts sending me photos. The first photo was like, I don't know where we're going, but do you like this outfit? And initially I'm like, that's a reasonable question. The photo was just chin and tits. I couldn't see the outfit.
Or her face.
It was just, or her face. It was just the bottom of her fucking mouth and then boobs. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, outfit looks great. Wear that. We end up going out and she's wearing like an outfit you would wear to the club. Like, it's sparkly and it's tiny and we're at like a family nice restaurant. I'm like, fuck it. Who cares? We end up sitting down and I'm like, get whatever you want. Would you like to have some appetizers? And she's like, no. Looks at the waiter and goes, we'll have 2 shots of tequila, please. I'm like, oh, okay. Before we even start actually having a real dialogue, she goes, I'll have another round of tequila, please. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Apparently this is just what it is. Mm-hmm. We're 30 minutes in. It's like fucking paradise all over again. We're 5 shots in. And I finally get around to being like, so like, why are you here? Like, what do you do for work? And she goes, oh, massage therapist. And in my head, I'm like, all right, so like a sports therapist, like a specialty. Yeah, exactly. So like, what do you mean? What kind? And she looks at me fucking deadpan and goes, I specialize in Nuru massage.
What's a Nuru massage?
I asked the exact same thing. So I asked her what it is, and she goes, it's nude, full body-to-body massage, body rubs.
Jesus.
And I'm like, okay, are you trying to fuck me, lady? Like, is this going on right now? we proceed to rip like another couple shots. It's maybe 7 p. Like the sun is still out.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, you know what? I was gonna I had an appointment today, but it canceled. I have my stuff with me, like a bag of like oils and shit. And she's like, you seem like a big guy. She's telling me all the right things, right? She's like a big, strong guy. Would you like for me to give you a massage? Of course I would, lady. Jesus. Obviously, I want you to massage. We end up getting back to my place, and we're in the kitchen, and she goes, go to the bedroom, get comfortable. You got it, lady.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me again. Go to the bedroom, take my clothes off, underwear. I don't want to be too presumptuous. Mm-hmm. Underwear are still on. Mush it around a little bit, try to look handsome. She goes, makes drinks, starts playing fucking music out of her Bose speaker that she just brings everywhere she goes. Walks into the bedroom with 2 drinks, completely butt naked. I'm hammered. This is a fucking dream scenario for any guy down on his luck who'd just been broken up with, right? Like, it is too easy. This is too perfect.
Mm-hmm.
She walks in, hands me my drink, and she's like, before we start, we got cheers. It's like, sure, lady. We clink, and then almost like out of like a bad, corny movie, like I go to take a sip and put it down, and as I'm putting it down, she goes like, and like makes me drink the whole thing.
Ooh.
And I'm like, I didn't think anything of it. I have tits in my face.
Mm-hmm.
I was on airplane mode. Like nothing was happening. And she starts dancing a little bit, and like she like sits on me, starts like rubbing my shoulders, and I'm like, things are going well today. The next thing I remember, I'm just awake in my bed in the exact same position that I was lying down in. Underwear still on, no recollection of what happened after that. I just woke up. Fucking full panic attack. I had no idea where my dog was. He usually sleeps next to me. He was under the couch, was scared, felt fucking horrible. I start looking around, and I'm like, number one, I'm like, am I good? Like, are my body parts on my body? I'm okay. My head's fucking killing me. And I walk out into the kitchen, and I notice that my laptop's not where I thought I left it. And I'm like, that's a little weird, but okay. And then I go to my work desk, and my iPad's gone.
No.
And I'm like, no fucking way. And I go to my closet where I keep some of my stuff, and this lady took a Rolex watch off my wrist, went in my closet, took the box, took the papers, took everything. I got fucking drugged and burgled from this hot, big-titted lady.
What?
That was my last experience going out. I'm kind of hanging out in the house these days.
Did you call the police?
I called them immediately, and the guy was like, look, man, I'm sorry, you're kind of fucked. Like, this is a fake number. The photos.
She had a burner phone?
She had a burner phone. The photos were all of, like, just this portion of her body. I mean, I'm sure her name she gave me wasn't real.
Right.
I had no info. I had a photo of her, but like the only information is that there is this hot blonde girl with big tits at the dog park who just stole my shit. That was all I could give them.
They couldn't pull up surveillance or anything?
No, it's not like that. It's not CSI. You know what I mean? They're like, honestly, brother, like, just be careful next time. Like, there's really nothing we can do. We're probably never going to find this person.
So how did it work in terms of insurance? The Rolex,
my watch is
iPad,
insured.
Yeah.
I had insurance on my, like, I got everything back. So like financially it was whatever. But the idea that I'm going out in the world and like trying to find someone to date again, and there are people out there legitimately who will drug you and steal your shit in West Hollywood.
It's evil.
It's insane. So that was like one of my first experiences back out into the world. So if you're watching this and you're a nice lady, what's up?
And if you're watching this and you're that bitch that stole everything, return it.
Well, it's fine. Insurance
or
got
finish the massage at least.
That's the minimum requirement. At least I expected a Nuru massage, lady.
How quick was it that the drugs kicked in?
It felt like immediate, dude. It felt so fast.
Did you get tested for anything after?
Yeah, it was like roofie, basically.
GHB or something?
Yeah. Heavy roofies.
Did you have to do that for the police report to prove that?
I didn't have to, no.
Oh, okay.
No. Well, because I have cameras in the house.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, she grabbed my shit and walked out
Oh,
of the house.
you had video of her doing it.
Yeah, well, that's why I was like, I have video. Like, can you do anything? And they're like,
So she just stole iPad, laptop, Rolex.
iPad, laptop, watch. It's like a couple other random things in the closet.
Was it weird? Do you have the surveillance footage? Can I put it over top?
I don't, because it was on an old Blink cam, like an old Blink camera that I don't have a subscription anymore.
You don't think it's in your emails or anything?
I know I don't
Fuck!
have it. I know I don't have it.
I
That
wanna
would have
see
been
this
fucking
girl,
hilarious.
Like, going around like
just
this
goblin.
And I want to see you in bed like.
Well, it's not in my bedroom. It's like in the living room. It was like in the corner of like the entryway to the house.
Oh, okay.
And so you could see her walking out with like a fucking like.
Was she clothed?
Like a shitty Santa. I mean, she wasn't really wearing a lot of clothes to begin with.
Yeah.
But like a shitty backwards Santa, like a Krampus, just stealing my items from my home.
Damn, that's horrible.
I don't know.
So you mentioned you got in this predicament.
Yeah.
Because you were post breakup.
Post breakup.
Do you want to talk about that relationship and how it has impacted your life?
Yeah.
'Cause I know that's been a, big part of your life. And
that relationship over the last 3-ish years for me is probably, without sounding like I'm trying to exaggerate, is probably the single most impactful experience of my life. Love this girl, love currently this girl. And I met her in a time where I just wasn't the best version of myself. Committed too early, was still like chasing this quote unquote fame or attraction from other people, was still obsessed with getting DMs from girls that didn't even know me. Like that's how I found my validation.
yeah.
And I met this girl who actually gave a shit about me as a human being, which made me feel amazing. But I still wanted that other stuff. We ended up dating. I cheated on her. And I remember her giving me chance after chance, right? And like me just being like, oh, she's going to come back. She'll always come back. Until she didn't. And watching myself put a person that I love so deeply through that experience was the worst I've ever felt about anything in my entire life. And I committed to never making anybody feel like that ever again. Initially, it was like, I want to get her back. Mm-hmm. I want to right the wrongs, right? I'm willing to do whatever it takes because I know that I fucked up so badly with someone who cared so deeply and that I cared so deeply about. So why the fuck did I do this? And how do I not do this again? Years, like this was almost 4 years ago, years in therapy, talking to my best friends all the time about how I was feeling and just trying to figure out the best way to navigate this. And we were in it together back and forth for so long because I felt so determined to make it right. I knew I fucked up, so I wanted to make it right. And it sucks. Like as much as you can love someone and want something to work, you can't unbreak the plate, right? If you smash a plate on the ground, you glue it back together. It's never really quite the same. So we went back and forth because we loved each other so much, but it ended up being too much for both of us. And that officially ended a little while ago. And it sucks because I feel like I'm the best version of myself I've ever been because of this thing with this person. And I don't get to share that with this person. And so I'm just trying to do my best to move on and see what other opportunities exist.
Well, it's good that you take accountability and have a heart. But something I try to understand, if you love this person so much, then why did you cheat?
I loved the way that attention made me feel more than I loved other things. When I first met her, I think I was also like, I was focusing on the wrong things. I was focusing on like, can I take this person out to this fucking black tie event? Like, do they fit perfectly in my friend group? Do they match the list of what I thought I wanted to be with, right? And they didn't necessarily like check off the boxes that I thought were the things that I wanted. There's a difference between the things that I thought I wanted and the things that I actually needed. She gave me all the things that I needed as a person, but didn't necessarily match the fucking arbitrary checklist that I had made for a girl that I wanted to be with. And I think it's a problem with like dating, like contemporary dating at all. It's like, is there something better out there? There's like infinite access to beautiful people all over the place. And I always kind of had that in the back of my head. Like, is there something better? Is there something better? Looking for something better. I still want the attention. And I cheated because, number one, I'm an idiot. But number two, getting the attention from other people was more important than the love and attention I was getting at home. And that was the fucked up part. And that's the part that I've had to work on. I've had to work on like being okay by myself. Because a lot of times when you feel that way, like you need people like you want girls or you want attention all the time. The hardest part for me has been to be like, I'm going to be happy being by myself and sitting on the couch with my dog, not sliding the DMs, not being on dating apps, not trying to get that like quick dopamine hit of like someone validating myself, but just being okay by myself and hanging out. And again, it sucks. I feel like I'm the person I've wanted to be emotionally for a long time and don't have that person to share it with. And so much of that growth was because of that person.
Is it hard for you to, because you made the bed, so you have to lay in it, right?
For sure.
Is it hard for you to accept that, or have you accepted that?
It's a good question. I try not to like live with regret. Mm-hmm. And I certainly wouldn't be heading towards the person that I really want to be if it wasn't for this thing. So I have to be grateful for that. Or else I'd be a dickhead. I'd be the guy at the club at 50. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to be that. But I guess if I'm not regretful, I'm remorseful. I'm sad that it took me breaking this person's heart to get to where I eventually really wanted to be. Regretful, no. Remorseful, for sure.
Why do people self-sabotage?
Work is hard, man. Like, why do people not go to the gym 5 days a week?
Yeah.
Like, why do people not wake up at 5:30 in the morning to work on whatever they have to work on? Because it's fucking hard. Self-sabotaging is easy. Oh, I'm just going to go have a couple drinks. Oh, now it's 5. Oh, now I'm in some girl's bed. That's easy. Standing in front of the mirror and dealing with your shit is hard. Self-sabotage is just the opposite of that, right? Like, it allows me, it's a bailout for having to do the things that are required of me to move forward. It's the easy route.
Have you ever been cheated on?
Technicalities. Like, the person that I'm talking about, even though we were like sort of together, not together, she was with someone while we were talking. But it's like, I don't know. I guess I give her a little bit of an out. It's like shades of gray. Like, we weren't really official. But like, we were saying I love you and like, I'm not talking to anybody else. There was a lie there. Was it like she cheated on me in like the classical sense? Maybe, maybe not. But there were lies there. And so I definitely know what it feels like to believe one thing and have the other thing be true in that particular sense, in the cheating sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Relationships are hard, man, especially out here. And like you said, in this day
I got robbed, Mark. Relationships are very hard.
You got drugged and robbed.
I got burgled, man. Yeah.
Yeah, out here, I mean, it's just, there's so many options. And I think today's day and age, that is the biggest problem. Like, social media, as great as it is for me, and so like I made a career out of it, I think women especially are obsessed with Instagram.
Totally.
And obsessed with the attention that they get from it. They like you said after the show, like go into their DMs and seeing 99 plus, and it's just a bunch of dudes shooting their shot. And the options now make dating very difficult.
And it makes it so that, like, you ask why do like people self-sabotage? It's so much easier now more than ever to distract yourself. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going through this shit. I'm just going to let this guy take me to dinner. It's just a drink. Yeah. It's free dinner. I get to get out of the house, right? Like, the infinite access of like social media gives people more of an opportunity to not have to ever sit in silence and work on their shit. That's when it gets hard.
Why do you think people flip the switch once they do something horrible? Why all of a sudden is this huge wake-up call like, oh my God, I fucked up?
Like, how many stories have you heard, how many success stories of like entrepreneurs that you've heard where the start of the story is, I hit rock bottom. Mm-hmm. Like, I was puking on myself in the gutter. Like, this like downtrodden shit. Because you can only take so much. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a level of trauma that forces you to go the other way. Mine was this experience of like really, really for the first time, brutally, emotionally damaging a person that I loved. That was my like emotional rock bottom for me. But unless you touch the bottom, that's I guess a weird pool analogy, but like if you dive to the deep end and you get to the bottom, your reaction is to like use the bottom to fucking spring up to the surface. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, I never want to get this low again. I want to get the fuck out, and I want to get out now. When you hit rock bottom, it's not like this slow, like, all right, I'm going to think about going to therapy. And like, I'm going to think about, it's like, I want to get better now. And so I think that's really the result of like getting to that low point. That's why people get there, mm-hmm. because it forces you to rebound. I guess what's that thing about like boiling like a frog or something, where it's like if you put them in like lukewarm water and then slowly boil it, they won't jump out. But if it's like boiling hot water and you throw them in, they'll hop right out. I don't know if that's a thing. I'm almost positive there's something.
I'm not boiling frogs.
I'm just saying there's an animal that if you fucking just put it in lukewarm water and slowly boil it, they'll just cook. But if you put them in the boiling hot water, they'll jump right out. It's the same kind of thing.
Okay.
I'm almost positive that's a thing.
Let's boil some frogs. But dude, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you opening up. I mean, through our friendship, I've learned so much from you, and you've always been there for me. So I appreciate you as a friend. And it's cool to see you be able to self-reflect and take accountability, because most people could just do the easy thing and say, fuck it, I fucked up, whatever, move on with my life, I don't care. So I think it's important that, I mean, I've seen your growth. I've known you for 8 years. Like, you've really transformed as a person, and I'm super proud of that. 8 years. Yeah, probably.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, I love you, man. I'm proud of you too.
Don't go on any more reality shows or dog park dates.
I think I'm too old for the reality shows. It might be there's a Golden Bachelor now. I might hit that one if I get to that point.
You're going to get on it.
That's right.
Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. If you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, drop a like. And as always, check out the clips on TikTok and Instagram. We're living large. See ya.